G'day everyone, it's John Dorr in Los Angeles. Thank you for joining us today. Hope everyone is well across the US and Canada. Pretty chilly down here in Los Angeles, but I know there's a cold snap across the northeast at the moment, so hope everyone's keeping warm. Today we've actually got a joint webinar going on. We're actually partnering with our friends at Australia's Northern Territory, Amanda Ladd, and also Sandy Nerlich from Tourism Western Australia. So that's the reason that you may have received the invitation, and it's actually me on the end of the line from South Australian Tourism Commission. But thank you for joining us. Today we're privileged to be joined by Dave Atherton, who's actually the Business Development Manager for International at Great Southern Rail. Most of you are aware of the fantastic train journeys that run across Australia, particularly the Ghan and the Indian Pacific. So there's a number of product changes that were announced quite recently, and we thought it'd be an ideal opportunity for all our key agents across both the United States and Canada to hear about these firsthand from Dave. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dave to the webinar. Thanks, Dave.
Good morning, everyone. Hope all is well. Thank you for joining us this morning. And as John said, I'm just going to try and give you a bit of an update on Great Southern Rail product for 2013. We are implementing a number of changes as of the 1st of April. But by doing this, what I want to do is I just want to take you on a bit of a journey with our trains, with both the Ghan and the Indian Pacific. Okay, as you can see, we operate 3 rail journeys, the Ghan, the Indian Pacific, and the Overland. I know a number of you are very strong specialists and have sold our trains before, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I'm going to try and give you a few tips along the way and also just give you more of an update. So if we go through and talk about the Ghan, obviously what I try and do is I try and recommend that if you're doing a one-night journey, that you travel towards the center, so Darwin to Alice or Adelaide to Alice. And that will become a bit more apparent as I talk through. So I'm going to take you on a journey from Darwin. Obviously Darwin, top end, great area to travel to for the tropical north, and obviously visiting places like Kakadu or Litchfield and those natural parks in those regions. Our rail terminal is actually in a place called Berrima, which is 25 minutes drive south of the city itself. We do provide the complimentary transfers for all guests. Now, new for from 1 April 2013 is we will be providing complimentary private transfers for all our platinum guests, and that will be to and from all the rail stations when they're traveling on the Ghan and the Indian Pacific. So it's important that you advise which hotels your clients will be staying in if they're traveling in platinum especially. So we depart from Darwin in the morning, and we're traveling through the top end across the Elizabeth and Ferguson rivers, heading south towards Katherine. Now, Katherine Gorge is actually 14 gorges. We offer an off-train tour here, or what we used to call a whistle-stop tour. We're now referring them more to off-train discovery tours. We're making some changes, but the big change here is we're making all our off-train tours inclusive. So you pay the one fare to travel on the Ghan, and you have the off-train tour included. Now, the main change here is we're offering 3 options from 1 April. You will either have the 2 gorge cruise, a 1 gorge cruise with an Aboriginal art explanation, so you can discover more about the Aboriginal art in the area, or an activity-based Aboriginal experience at the gorge, which will allow your guests to learn how to do dot painting and things like that. So they have 3 options to choose from, which they can book on the train itself. And obviously they get to see the gorge and learn about the history of the area and how it's created by the serpent and the Aboriginal myths. As we travel south, where obviously the scenery changes, a lot of termite mounds, trees, etc., and then you see the sun setting in the top end. And then the following morning, that's the first impression your clients get of the outback. So they see the sunrise in the outback, and that's a big selling point for actually going towards the Red Center. So that's your first impression. They arrive into Alice Springs, and again in Alice Springs, if they're traveling all the way through, they would have a choice of 3 off-train tours or discovery tours, again, which would be included. If you're doing a break-up journey or you're doing the one-night experience, then you would go off and actually do your own touring through to Uluru and places like that. If you're rejoining the train, we're traveling further south, so you're traveling through the outback, crossing the Fink River Bridge, and then we get to a place called Port Augusta in South Australia, which is actually our gateway to the Flinders Ranges. So if you have any clients that are interested in the Flinders Ranges, then it's a 30 to 40-minute drive from Port Augusta. So that would be your nearest gateway point. Those that are staying on the train would then obviously head through to Adelaide. So moving on to the Indian Pacific, again, we're operating our off-train tours on the Indian Pacific from the 1st of April, with, starting in Perth. We travel through the Swan and Avon River valleys, very scenic gorge-like scenery, and then we head to Kalgoorlie. And Kalgoorlie is where we have our first off-train tour, and then we're crossing the Nullarbor Plain region. Now, September-October time is our busiest time of the year on the Indian Pacific, and that's due to the wildflower season, which you can see here, when the whole desert blooms in various colors. Crossing the Nullarbor is great for spotting wildlife, so kangaroos, emus, wedge-tailed eagles, as you travel across. And then we get to a little place called Cook. And Cook is our little ghost town. It's our gateway into South Australia, and there's only 4 people that live there, and the only way to get there is by train. But it's a great opportunity to just get out and stretch your legs. Heading across South Australia, through the farmland regions, and then you can actually break your journey in Adelaide if you want to, so you can do the Barossa or the Adelaide Hills, some of the vineyards, or spend a little bit longer and go over to Kangaroo Island and see the sea lions and all the wildlife that Kangaroo Island offers. If you're staying on the train or continuing back on the train, then obviously we go through the Broken Hill in outback New South Wales, and again we do an off-train tour option there. And then traveling through the Blue Mountains during daylight hours, and then on to Sydney. So that takes you really across. Now, obviously, if your clients want to do a 1-night experience, a 2-night experience, or a 3-night experience, there are various options there. Adelaide to Sydney is a great 1-night experience. If you have clients flying in Sydney and you want to connect them through to Adelaide, because they get a good flavor of the outback going through Broken Hill, and then they can continue their traveling through Adelaide. So there's different ways that you can do it. So just to give you a bit of an update on the product and how this is impacting for next year, this service is really our transportation product. Now, traditionally we've had sleepers and seats in this area. As of 1 April, we will no longer have sleepers. So this is very much just transportation. So it's our seats, it's our red seats, the reclining seats. Obviously, the carriage is fully air conditioned, and they can turn around to be facing each other as well. They have access to the Matilda Cafe, and for those of you who have sold this product before, we recently have, well, we're going to withdraw the Red Gum Lounge, which was recently reintroduced. So this area will only be red seats and the Matilda Cafe, so very much transportation A to B. With regards to our experiential product, this is really our gold and platinum, and also our private service, which is our private carriages. So what I've tried to do on here, you'll notice all the logos of the different service levels. So those areas pertain to those service levels. So I like to think about this about land cruising. So it's not just about sitting on a train and traveling through the destination. It's about seeing and experiencing the destination. In Gold Service, we have the twin sleepers. Now, we've refurbished our twin sleepers, and they have the upper and lower berths, and they convert into the 3-seater sofa seats during the day. And these have been refurbished completely on the Indian Pacific, now in operation. And the Ghan will be completed by June of this year. And that will complete our 4-year refurbishment program of our trains. So the new Gold Service twin sleepers look a little bit like this. We've incorporated new sound systems, new handrail units, new ladder systems as well. But the key thing is actually our compact en-suites. So we've ripped out the old compact en-suites and put in new corner toilets, corner sinks, and corner shower units. Moving on to Platinum. Platinum is more exclusive. We literally 4 years ago introduced Platinum with 5 carriages. So it's a limited amount of space on the train. Maximum 2 carriages per departure, so that's a maximum of 20 guests. So it's more exclusive than Gold. Gold, if you can think, when we're running at peak, we could have anywhere up to about 200 guests in Gold. So Platinum service are double, cabins are double the size of our Gold Twins. There's 5 cabins per carriage compared to Gold Twins where there's 9 per carriage. And with Platinum, you have the 2-seater sofa seat during the day, you have your coffee table with your ottoman, you have a drop-down tray table, you have an in-room safe, drawers, and that just converts into your double bed at night. Keycard access like a hotel room. Now some of you might be looking at this picture and looking at the left-hand side and thinking, how does that work? Where do they go? And no, I assure you they don't fall out of the train. There is actually a corridor on that left-hand side, and the external window is lined up with the internal window. So that's a unique feature of Platinum, where you can actually look out both sides of the train. We also do twin sleepers, so we have 3 double cabins per carriage and 2 twin cabins per carriage. And as you can see with the twins, they're not the upper and lower berth, it's all low-level bedding. And they have the full-on suite. So with Platinum, you have the full-on suite with a toilet, wash basin, and you then have a separate shower cubicle in there as well. Now, one of the things that we're introducing are a number of changes with the service delivery. So I mentioned with regards to the off-train tours, or discovery tours are now being included. Well, we're also going to be including all our beverages as well. So for Gold and Platinum, they will have all beers, premium wines, base spirits, soft drinks, all included in the price. The only thing they would have to pay for drink-wise would be if they wanted to purchase a wine off the premium seller list, or if they wanted cocktails, things like that. So essentially, once they buy the ticket, then pretty much they don't have to include pay for anything else on board the train. The Outback Explorer Lounge is basically our social area. So 80% of our guests are Australians, so you will meet Australians on board the train, but we do have a good mixture of internationals on there as well. And this is where also we're going to be introducing our leisurely boarding. So from 1st of April, we're going to commence boarding 90 minutes prior to departure. So rather than sitting around a train station and waiting until 30 minutes prior and all sort of madly rushing to get on board, people will be able to board at leisure. So when they turn up to the train station, about 9 minutes before, they can go to the Outback Explorer Lounge. We'll have our attendants standing outside, and they will welcome them. They will check their main luggage into the luggage van, and they will then introduce them into the cabin and help them with their hand luggage. They can then relax, have a drink in the lounge or a drink in their cabin, and start their journey before they've departed the station. So it's really providing them a much better customer service. The other thing as well on that respect is the checked luggage. We've increased the luggage allowance. So we used to be 20 kilos per bag. We're now 25 kilos per bag. And that's for Gold up to 2 bags per person, so 50 kilos. For Platinum, up to 3 bags per person, which is 75 kilos. Then we have our Queen Adelaide restaurant. So this is where all our meals are included. So all meals included, obviously the drinks will be included in this area. We have revamped our menus in this area. So we're now, for example, for dinner, you've got a choice of 4 starters, 6 main, 4 desserts. We've styled the menus to reflect the areas that we're traveling through. So the Ghan is very much about the outback and the Aboriginal history. So we're introducing Aboriginal spices into some of the menu as well. And then the Indian Pacific is very much about the wine regions that we travel through Western Australia with the Margaret River region and things like that, through to South Australia with the Barossa, the Clare, the McLaren, and the Adelaide Hills, etc., through to the Hunter in New South Wales. So it's very much about the regions that we're traveling through. Also with our dining experience, we've now introduced flexible dining. So if any of you have actually traveled on our trains before, what we have traditionally done is set timing. So you'd have a maximum of 2 sittings for meals, and we make tannoy announcements over the with regards to when they need to be in the dining car. Effective 1 April, what we're doing is we're doing what we call a rolling breakfast. So we won't make any announcements in the morning. We'll advise clients or guests what time the restaurant will be open, and they can just come down to have breakfast when they want to, bearing in mind that they're on holiday. The other thing is with lunch and dinner is that they can book a table for lunch and dinner. So they can book the time that they want to actually have their meals. So it's a lot more flexible. So if they like an early dinner, they can book that an early time. If they want a later dinner, they can do so. Everything's freshly prepared on board. We have 2 chefs per kitchen that do an amazing job in a very confined space. But we don't, microwave or pre-cook things. They do all the sauces, everything on there. So, if people like their steaks plain and don't want any sauces, things like that, that can all be arranged on board. Obviously, the main thing, if your clients have any special dietary requirements, then we do need to know those in advance, and especially with allergies as well. So just a little bit of a summary. So with regards to Gold and Platinum service, the key thing for us and the key message that we need to try and get out into market is that we are all inclusive from 1 April. Really adds value to the product. Now I know a number of you will probably be thinking, because I've been asked it since we've made these announcements, how much are we increasing the prices by to make it all inclusive? To give you an example, if you travel on the Ghan from Darwin to Adelaide, 3 days, 2 nights on the train, you've got an off-train tour at Catherine, an off-train tour at Alice Springs, and we're now including all the drinks as well as the meals and the off-train tours. The increase in Gold is $72. That in itself would just about cover the off-train tour in one of those destinations, but now we're including 2 off-train tours and all the drinks. So just bear that in mind. We haven't increased them drastically. We are really trying to add more value to the product. Again, as I mentioned, we have a new flexible leisure dining. The check-in process is eased off. The other thing as well is that we're introducing advanced purchase fares. So if you're not already aware, we now have advanced purchase fares where it's 25% discount off Gold service if booked at least 6 months in advance, or 10% off Platinum. And already these are starting to prove popular. What we're really trying to do is encourage our guests to book as early as possible. These fares, these advanced purchase rates are yielded, so you might have to be flexible in your dates if you want to get the best price. The other thing as well is we've just rolled out what we call a Fab Feb offer, which is a 20% discount off Gold, and we will still come out with offers at various times to try and backfill areas where the trains aren't as full as we'd like them. But the key thing here is that you'll notice their advanced purchase in Gold is 25% off, but this offer for February is only 20% off. So we will never undercut our advanced purchase, so we'll protect those guests that pre-book well in advance. So with the Fab Feb offer, this is actually for 20% off for travel in April and May, so it's selected dates or selected times of the year. And then again, this just highlights the beverages and the tours all inclusive, and that's the key message that we're trying to get out with the added value. The key thing as well outside of that is trying to get across to guests that this is about the experience. It's about experiencing the destination. It's about getting off the train, seeing and experiencing as much as possible, the socializing, etc. If you want to get from A to B quickly, you fly it. Simple as that. If you want to see and experience areas of Australia, then this is a great way of doing it. So thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate you joining us today. For more information, just a little tip as well. If you want to check availability, always have a look at our Great Southern Rail website, so greatsouthernrail.com.au. There is a consumer booking or request area there, so you can check in there and go in there and have a look for availability. So if you're looking for those special discounted rates, then always check there. We do have an agent support email address as well, so if you have any queries when you're traveling, then agentsupport@gsr.com.au is great, or alternatively you can email me. But if you're emailing me, copy an agent support, because that way we can respond to you as quickly as possible.
Thanks so much, Dave. So I actually didn't need to prompt anyone for questions. There's quite a few shooting through. So while Dave scrolls through these, just a reminder that we have got some upcoming webinars, so please look out for that. And I'm sure our other state partners have probably got upcoming sessions as well. So Dave, is there any questions on the list that that you can answer there.
Yeah, certainly. Just the first one there talks about will the train stop in Coober Pedy. We actually do stop in a place called Mangori. Now, Mangori is about a 40-minute drive to Coober Pedy on dirt road. There are no facilities there. It is literally a stop in the middle of the outback. It only really works southbound because of the time that we actually arrive there. So we arrive there about 9, 10 o'clock at night, traveling southbound, as opposed to northbound where it's about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. With the Coober Pedy element, though, that you must pre-book your transfer. So with the Desert Cave Hotel, they'll do a pickup. They do light a bonfire there, and it's a very special thing to do. But again, you do need to have that pre-booked in advance because we have a duty of care. We can't just drop you off in the middle of the outback. So yes, that's possible. What are included Discover tours in Alice Springs? In Alice Springs, we're still just finalizing the tours, but we will do a town tour. We're also likely to do the Desert Wildlife Park. In addition to those tours that are going to be included, there will be 3 options in those 2 destinations of Catherine and Alice Springs. There will also be the option, if people want to upgrade and pay additional, to do a helicopter tour. So those that are traveling in Platinum that might want to do a helicopter experience, they can still do those, but those would be an extra cost. What are the costs of the Catherine Whistle Stop tour? They're going to be included as of 1 April, so there'll be no additional costs apart from those ones that want to upgrade. Is there Wi-Fi on the trains? Very good question. We are looking at Wi-Fi. We're actually scoping that at the moment, so that's something to keep your eyes open for the future. But at the moment, we don't have Wi-Fi. Just looking through some of the others. Okay, are the Gold Sleeper Cabin top bunks easily accessible? Yes. Basically, you don't have to worry about putting beds up and beds down. That's all done for you. So when you go to breakfast in the morning, your beds are put away and converted into the 3-seater sofa seat during the day. When you go to dinner in the evening, then your beds are put down. So the ladders are put in place, the armrests are put in place, etc. So they're quite easy to get up and down on.
All right, we've probably got time for one more question. But if your question hasn't been answered, Dave will get a complete list of every comment that's been made, and he'll get back to you in a prompt amount of time. He's traveling around the US and Canada for the next week, but rest assured we will get back to you.
Okay.
So we've got time for one more.
One more, looking at this. Is there only one gold double per journey on the Indian Pacific? Yes, we have what we call the Superior Cabin, and the Superior Cabin is double the size of the Gold Twin. There is only generally one per train. Sometimes if we're running a very long train, that there might be a second one on there. They do get sold out one in advance, and with that, it can accommodate a family of 3 because it's a 3/4 size lower double bed with a pull-down single upper berth. There is a surcharge on that, which is $830 on top of the normal fare for the room per night, but there is only the one generally per departure.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Dave, for joining us, and also a big thanks to our partners, Tourism Western Australia and Australia's Northern Territory. As I said before, we are actually going to make this available online. We have recorded this session, so if you have missed any portion of it, we will send you that shortly, probably within the next week. So once again, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to speaking with you all soon. Bye for now.